Welcome to Fierce Fabulous Fridays. Today we're going to be talking about crafting a powerful personal brand, and it is going to be presented by me. I am Deborah Corn. I am the intergalactic ambassador to the Printerverse at Print Media Center, and I am the executive director of Girls Who Print. And we'll get back to me in a second. First, I wanted to tell you about three really cool upcoming Girls Who Print events that you definitely should be aware of. The first one is a three-part series from Girls Who Print fan favorite, Sarah O'Hannison. She is the productivity coach and founder of So Productive. The sessions there'll be three sessions for an hour apiece, and Sarah will provide a packet of takeaways and exclusive coaching after the sessions, as well as she will man one of the Ask the Experts chat forums on the Girls Who Print members site. So this event is totally free for Girls Who Print members. And if you are not a member, and it's $20 a piece. So if you do the math, it's better value to become a member. Plus, you can get the packet and you can access the replays whenever you want. So technically, you don't even need to show up on these three dates. If you are just want to come to one or some of them, no problem. Just make sure that you attend, because you won't have access to the replays. They will be posted on the members only area of the Girls Who Print site, which you can find out all about joining at girlswhoprint.org. The next event is, I don't know if you guys have watched the Residents on Netflix, but we're going to have a discussion about it because it was fascinating to me, the entire environment that she was operating under. And I don't want to give anything away. So if you can watch it on Netflix, please do. And we're going to have a discussion about it. And if you can't, for whatever reason, in the information on the events navigation on the Girls Who Print website, I put a link to where you can get a synopsis of the plot, but just be aware there's spoiler alerts there. So you have been warned. And finally, I wanted to alert everybody to a really exclusive opportunity to hear from Charlotte Tuckmantle. And she's going to explain how she charted her path from an entry-level position to the executive suite. And it's going to be two separate discussions, one about getting there, and one about navigating while you're there. Again, this is totally free for Girls Who Print members. And if you're not a member and you want to attend, gentlemen too, it is a $20 donation. But if you do the math, you've practically bought a membership at that point. So just join us, and then you don't have to worry about anything. You get access to everything. So thank you so much for your attention. And now I want to talk about crafting a personal brand. So your personal brand isn't your job title, and it's not your resume. It's the lasting impression that you make. It's how people describe you after a meeting, after a project, even a post on social media. And whether you've worked on it or not, your personal brand is already out there. The real opportunity is in how you shape that impression with purpose, so that the right people remember you and they trust you and they think of you when projects come around or jobs open up. So today we're going to dive into how to build a personal brand that reflects who you are, where you're going, and and that it arrives before you get there. So, a personal brand is the perception that people have on you. As I said, I have a personal brand that I refer to as an acquired taste. Sometimes people meet me and they get it right away, or they've seen my posts or read my blogs, and they understand that there's uh, the consideration for how I might say something is not as important in most cases to me as what I am saying. So I may come across as aggressive, or I might come across as blunt, or some people say describe me as no nonsense. So it goes across the spectrum depending upon the topic that I'm talking about and how much it is pushing the buttons of the person on the other side. But I'm also helpful and funny, and I respond to emails, and if I can't help somebody, I will find someone who can help them. So it's all wrapped up in this, but it is perception. And we always say that perception is reality, whether it is or it isn't the actual fact. One last personal example of me: I cannot tell you how many people say that I'm screaming at them. And I get it. I'm loud and I'm passionate. And I'm from New York and we talk loud because there's lots of people there. But that doesn't translate everywhere. So you have to realize not to be offended by things like that, because you know that you're not yelling at people. I mean, if they really wanted me to yell, they would hear me yelling. But the point is, if that's the way they think of you, that is not so great. So it's how people feel about you. Was working with you on that project easy? Was working on that project with you a learning experience, because you didn't just go through the motions, but you helped people understand listen, do you understand what that acronym means? Do you understand how to set up the file? Like, don't worry, I've got it. You leave, and I will take care of it. Don't worry, go on your vacation, go home. That's how people feel about you. And of course, your personal brand tells the world who you are, what you stand for, and why it matters. This one's a little more difficult because we're saying personal, but we probably should be saying personal professional brand, because that's why you maybe have a social media account for work and a social media account for Facebook, or a more of a platform or something where you're talking about yourself and your family and things like that, which might not come into your personal brand. Or maybe it does, depending upon what it is and why it matters. For example, if you are working on a client who, let's say it's a summer camp for underserved communities. Well, that could be a reflection of you as well, especially if you have a personal story to tie it into. Maybe you grew up a certain way, or you had family members that grew up a certain way, or you could just look at like Mariah Carey's camp and all the stuff that she's done for underserved kids that way. But that's a little bit of a weird example. But what I'm saying is that's tied into her personal and professional brand. So it's just an example. So, what is a personal brand in a nutshell? It is reputation with intention. Because if you don't tell people who you are, then they will make a decision for you. So, who are you? Now, this is going to be a little fun, everybody. We're going to take a quiz. So, first of all, I can't see the chat, unfortunately, but what's going to happen in the next series of slides are there 5 questions. So, I'm going to read the question, but not the individual answers. And then what I want you to do is put your answer in the chat. It's just A, B, C, or D. Just put a letter in the chat, but also write it down, because at the end, depending upon how many of the most prominent letter, it's going to help you decide who you are with your brand. So, Sandy, maybe you can turn on your mic and then let me know after everybody has finished putting their numbers in the chat so I can move on.
Okay.
So, first question: And there's only one answer, everybody. So you have to think about it and you'll have time to think about it. So, what do you most want to be known for? Bringing the right people together at the right time, always having solid answers and smart perspectives, being first to spot new trends and shifts, standing up for what matters, and inspiring others to do the same. I know I said I wasn't going to read them, but the silence kills me. Sandy, how we doing?
We've got some B's and D's so far. It's a
Okay.
tie.
Okay.
Oh, there's a B. A B. B's
Lots
are
of B's.
winning.
Okay. I'm going to go on to I'm going to keep moving people, but so hopefully everyone has written down an answer for themselves and put one in the chat. So here we go. So when it comes to what do you want to most be known for? It's a matter of knowing your one word. Define yourself before it's defined. Are you fearless? Are you a connector? Are you a disruptor? You have to own it, and every move that you make should reflect your word. To interpretation, you don't want to leave this open to interpretation or mislabeling because that could affect your opportunities. So, how do you figure this out? Well, ask people what word comes to mind when they think of you, and then see if you find patterns. For example, Deborah Corn, she has a lot of information, but she always sounds like she's screaming at me, you know? So then I can look at that pattern and say, okay, I just want to be known for the first part of that sentence, not the second part. So now it's up to me to adjust. Boil down what you think are your strengths and your passions and the things that are authentic to you, how you serve your customers, how you figure out challenges on projects, budgets, working out, anything that you might work out that plays into the definition of you. If you want to be known as a team player, then all of these strengths that you want to exhibit come go along that you're a team player, and then test it. If somebody introduced you by this one word, would you be proud in every room that you walk into? Next question. What most motivates you to post or speak publicly? Sharing stories and connecting with your network, teaching something useful and insightful, challenging conventional thinking, rallying people around a cause or mission. Now, I know these are hard because you probably have more than one, but most is what we're looking for here. Some of these are Sophie's choice, Sandy.
They are. We are getting quite the variety on this one. B's, D's, 1A.
Okay.
Probably rallying people around a cause
Okay, cool. I like that a lot. Okay.
and teaching something useful. Yeah.
Okay, so the one thing that we know about brands is that they are loud and they are consistent and they do not whisper. They show up again and again across your LinkedIn, in your lunch meetings, in your late night texts, in your messages, in your tone. Everything you do has to, you can't be a team player from 9 to 5 and then at 7 o'clock at night you're not a team player anymore. Not if that's your brand. Then your brand becomes she's a team player most of the time. So again, we're trying to avoid those disclaimers after the great thing that you want everybody to think about you. And inconsistency kills credibility. People have to rely on the fact that they believe you can be who they need you to be, that you're going to leave them with that confident, safe feeling. I always say to printers that there is no price of peace of mind when it comes to being on the buying end of print. That peace of mind can almost be a line item in the estimate, and be like, look at all this peace of mind we're going to get on this quote, and this one I'm not so sure because they don't really like to talk after 7 o'clock at night. And it is a weird thing to use as an example, but first of all, there's time zones all over the world. We work in a global industry. You might have partners not in your time zone. And the other thing is that, especially if you're an advertising agency, 7 o'clock at night is like you're just getting your second wind. So just be consistent. And it's also a visual representation. So maybe choose a color that represents you and share art in that color, or when you create your business cards or anything like that. I know that that ties into the company brand, but what is your brand? Do you always wear purple? Then your signature might have something purple in it, something that they can, a visual representation that you can use everywhere. Now, I happen to use a little icon of an alien because of the printiverse, and it has spiky hair, so we call it the Debian, because me, Deborah, is an alien. So I literally have an icon that represents me, and then I have one for the podcast from the printiverse that has headphones on it. So in this case, because I am a person, but I also represent my company, so it's that is tied together. But you can do the same thing with the way you sign your emails, anything like that. As everybody always says on social media, or even if you have a blog, you have to post regularly and with purpose, because you don't want to become forgettable. I really think that I don't practice this, so don't follow. So just listen to me, don't watch what I'm doing. But because I just put too much stuff out there in the world. But if if I was just a regular person like you guys out there, I'm assuming, maybe not Sandy, she's more in my end of the not being just a regular person out there sharing information. But it's about, if you I send a newsletter on Tuesdays, and it arrives in every Tuesdays once a month, and it arrives in everybody's email box around 1 o'clock. So that's something that they can count on. I get a newsletter from Australia, and when I'm sitting or I'm doing something and my phone, dings at 8:30 at night, I don't even have to look. I know that it's coming from Australia because it's consistent every night. It comes at the same time. So don't leave the voids where you can become forgettable, especially if you want to be known as a subject matter expert. The subject never goes away, even though there might not be something new to talk about. Some of the best advice I ever got when I first started is that just because it isn't new to you doesn't mean it's not new to somebody else. So repurpose, go back, revisit content that got a lot of engagement, and send it back out for more engagement. And use the same voice and tone in all your. Let me tell you about ChatGPT. So we all use it. I got help from ChatGPT to, take my wordy sentences and condense them into, bullet points on a slide. I need ChatGPT for that, because just like I talk with a lot of words, I write with too many words. But it is getting easier and easier and easier the more people use those tools to tell that people are using those tools. So just like back when we were in school and there was no internet, if you're in that age, or there was internet but you weren't allowed to look at it, or you were looking at a source, get the information and then rewrite it in your own way. Even get ChatGPT to do it, but humanize it so that it is a reflection of you. Don't use the robot words. Everybody is using the robot words and the format. So take it out of that format, and you can also train the GPTs to speak like you, as much as you can if you feed them enough content. Now, I've done that. I've asked it to read all of my blogs so it can give and to the articles that are written about me so that I can ask it for a quote about something that I would say because I hate doing those things because it's crazy. I'm like I'm writing my own quote that I'm saying and I just think it's crazy, instead of someone just actually asking me a question. So you can train it, but still, I have to go in there and undebra it because ChatGPT at this point, I don't. It doesn't know what it knows what I do, but it gets confused like everybody else in the industry. Okay, next question. What do you most wish more people saw in you? How valuable your connections and social skills are, how deeply you understand your subject, how creative and forward thinking you are, how much you care about making a difference.
We got some B's here. B's and D's.
Okay. B's and D's. Interesting. Okay, cool. I can see the chat now, but not really. I don't want to look
And
over there.
and and Kathy
Oh,
made a point earlier that sometimes a question applies one way for your personal brand and another way for your professional brand. And I think that's an interesting comment.
yes, that's what I said before. We were, that there is how you act on your personal social media and how you act on your professional interaction. So I'm focusing on professional interactions, although sometimes in the example I used about, supporting a summer camp for underserved communities can overlap into both. But I would say your personal brand with your family is just how you are. You know what I mean? I'm not necessarily making sure that I'm a subject matter expert about the cranberries at on Thanksgiving, although I would say jelly, not sauce. Just saying. So okay. So what have we learned? Authenticity is not a trend. You don't want to perform. You don't want to be who they want you to be or who you think they want you to be, or who they think you are. You don't have to play into that. If it's not who you are, you don't want to polish yourself to the point of how can somebody be like that all the time? Have you ever met people you're just like, how are they always like that every time I see them? They must be very stressed out. They're so organized about everything. I don't know. Sometimes people freak me out when they're always like that. I don't know if that makes sense to people, but they just have this air about them, and then you almost think like as soon as they leave people's presence they like change the way they talk into like, oh man, that was crazy, right? And the whole time they're like all serious. I don't know it that's I went off on a little tangent, but the point is that you can't be so on all the time that people don't believe that this is how you can possibly sustain your existence on planet Earth, and people smell that fakeness a mile away. You want your brand to be aspirational, but it has to be based in the foundation of who you are, or you can't keep it up. You don't see me talking about exercise plans. Would that be authentic to me? No. But would something, how do you find really great ideas for business cards is something that could be associated with me. So share behind the scenes moments of your real process, and you always want to share stories and not stats. And I will pull up my favorite one, Sandy, which is just because I know you hear me say this all the time. People love to touch paper. That stat drives me insane. Okay, People love to touch paper. Do I have a feeling from that? I don't know. I guess my feeling goes to, do I like to touch paper? And then what if I don't? That wipes out the whole story that you can actually be telling about sustainability and how your company, is doing something more than everybody else. So just be really careful not to just pass along stats without helping people connect to them, because what would your personal brand be then? They send me a lot of stats, but nothing that really affects my decision making. Again, and that one, both sides are not so great. And like I said, don't over edit or edit at all. That's why I say my brand in a lot of part is an acquired taste, because I am who I am. And the only thing I do now is I try to not speak as loud. And when I go to Europe, I try to be like America light, because we're little jazz hands here compared to everybody else. And they just get like very nervous about it. Okay, question 4. When you speak up, what do you most often lead with? Who you know and how you can help people? What you've learned or observed lately? What's next and how the game is changing, whatever that game may be for you? And what you believe in and why it matters now, right now. B's, A's. Ah, Emily Simon, no cheating. Only one. Now I can see the chat, everybody, so you're in trouble. I just have to look there. Okay. Um,
I think the B's were the winners there. I'm going to take Emily's as a B. If you prevaricate, I'll make the decision.
prevaricate. Look at you. Say, I like that word. What does it mean?
If you're wishy-washy.
Okay, well, thank you.
There, see, she picked B. All right, good.
Okay, yes, you
All
have
right.
to pick one. You know the rules, Emily Simon. Okay. Power up your point of view. A personal brand isn't just a personality, it's a perspective. You have to have one. You share it, you defend it, you build a reputation for for your insight, not just your presence. You're always like, for example, I always, when possible, invite Sandy slash beg her to come and help with the chats, and especially the events, to literally manage the chat room. Now, it's one thing that she has a presence in there and she could just behind the scenes manage it, but she doesn't do that. She puts her perspective into the chat. So the chat becomes an experience, and not just an experience of engagement with peers and people who are attending this session, but engagement on other thoughts that are going on, or somebody that she picks out things that can be thought provoking and spark other conversations. So, thought leadership isn't about echoing, it's about originality, and it's about doing it wherever you are. So, share your take on trends, on shifts, on challenges, the post office, the tariffs. There's plenty of things that are challenging that, if you're a team player, I'm just going to keep that is your personnel, that is the brand you want to exude out in the world. Then what how does being a team player fit into these things? Don't be afraid to disrupt. You don't have to agree with everything that is being said. And if you have a perspective that fits into your brand, for example, yesterday I received an email from someone overseas who was looking for help on a synthetic paper, and they wanted to market it as tree free. And I was like, I won't do it, because even though you are promoting your product, you're inferring that something is wrong with using paper. So I don't want to be a part of that. So the conversation turned into, I'm going to work with them to rebrand so that they do are not so they're not focusing on that aspect, but they're focusing on the applications that are perfect for these substrates. So that's a way to disrupt. And that, that goes back to, team player, thought leader, anything that you think that your brand might be. I mentioned this before, have a signature offering. Throwback Thursdays is, I mean, we can go back to the classics, right? Monday motivation. What is Tuesday? I don't know what Tuesday. Makeup Tuesday trends. Wednesday's wisdom. Thursday throwback, and Friday, these Fridays are coming, or Friday fun, or there's stuff that happens on Friday. So you can share all these things. You can if you're a team player, you can send emails to your customers on the best ways for you to receive an estimate, or you can teach them these things. You can send a did you know series. For example, if you work in a wide format place, and you have printing, regular printing, commercial printing equipment too, or the other way around, your customers not might not know that you have both if they only buy one from you. So you can be a team player by letting them know, hey, you trust us with this work, you can trust us with this work too. And of course, always show really cool samples of what you do and examples of what you do. So, for example, an example of what you do is, not only do we help our customers, but we are also invested in helping, this summer camp and all the value that people in the community get from that, so that they see you as part of this, as being a team member of being doing better things out in the world. Okay, this is the last question. What do people most thank you for? Making valuable introductions or connecting them to others, offering great advice, or solving through problems, or solving tough problems, inspiring a new way of thinking, supporting their cause, or making them feel seen. This is a tough one. Lots of B's. Okay. That is definitely fair. I mean, D can be a little rocky at this moment in time. I don't know. I am definitely can't. I'm glad I'm not playing my own game here, because I don't think I can pick one. I would hope that people I all right, I'm going to answer it. Most people thank me for making valuable introductions, but that's sort of my brand. I'm the ambassador to the Printiverse, right? I uh, I wish that more people thank me for inspiring a new way to think of thinking. I do get emails telling me that every once in a while, but and there's definitely people that take my crazy ideas for my blogs and everything else for new business development, and they do implement them, but I find out like years later. Nobody tells me. So if you're out there and you do any of my ideas, please let me know, because I'd like to be a number C. Okay. Be useful. Build your brand around value. People may not remember who you are, but they will remember what you did for them. So you want to build your brand around value. You want to say, how can I help? And you need to mean it with no strings attached. Here's a situation that gets me going every once in a while, when I hear printers get upset that they're being asked to estimate and they're not getting the jobs. And at a certain point, they want to stop estimating, unless, or put some ultimatum like, look, you've asked me to estimate the last 4 jobs. We didn't get anything, so we're not going to estimate with you. We're not going to do this anymore unless we're definitely going to get the job. Instead of being like, let's discuss how I can be a team player and understand why we're not, winning these jobs, and seeing if there's anything that we can do to work that to get out together. But do you really want your brand to be, if you don't buy something from me, I have no time for you? I don't think that's such a great idea. So sharing tools and resources and introductions that align with your brand. Hi, I'm a team player, so there's a great thing. There's an amazing billboard I saw when I was on vacation, and you send it to your very creative wide format customers. Maybe there was a really cool die cut, or there were two billboards that were across a highway working together. Whatever it is, that makes you a helpful, useful team player in their business. And of course, you always want to be the first to celebrate others in your company, in your peer circle, on LinkedIn. If you're just scrolling and you see somebody got a new job, or they worked on a new project, or they made an award, I don't know all the people that I congratulate. I'm connected with them. I know I have the world's largest LinkedIn group. So if I'm connected with people, I assume that we, engage it just by visibility. So when I'm scrolling and I see things, I celebrate them with people, and it shows that you're a leader, especially if you're congratulating other people from your country, your company, and it plays into the team player thing, if that's what you want your brand to be. And it is really important. So now we are going to look at the results of the questions. So, mostly A, you are the connector. You're the relationship builder and thrive on human connection, and you open up your network to others. You reflect generosity, trust, and access. There's nobody that you won't connect people to, and this is who you are. So everything that you do should fall in your personal brand under people. The first thing they think of is that you're a connector. Now, I would say that most people think of me this way, and they reach out to me and they say, you know, a lot of people, or you have a large network. So that's the brand that they know me on, and I deliver on it by helping them do what they are asking of me when possible. Most of the time, it is. Okay, all you bees, you are mostly the experts. You're the authority. People come to you because you know what you're talking about, and you are sharing insights and knowledge freely. You're not saying, and click here to learn more, and it's a sales call, a calendar for a sales call or anything like that. You built trust and credibility by openly sharing. And people know that they can come for you to get information, whether or not there's going to be a transaction involved. There was a printer that I worked with who had most equipment that I needed at the time, and they didn't have a web press. So I didn't know that. I called them and I was like, I have this job, and my rep was like, okay, this needs to go on a web press, and don't worry about it. We've got you. Everything will be fine. And then he went out to the parking lot and called me on his cell phone, and he said, don't send this job through here. I had to say that because people were standing around me, but I do not trust the web people, and I don't want you upset with me. So he was my authority. You know what I'm saying? His brand was, I could trust him. He was going to tell me the truth, and he knew where the limitations of his capabilities were to give me what at that point he knew I was going to not just expect but demand, if it didn't happen that way. See, you are the visionary. You're the big picture thinker. People follow your bold ideas, they enjoy your perspective on things. You can build a brand around innovation, around trends, about things coming in the future, how to prepare. It depends upon what you want to be known for. With customers, I think being known as a visionary, especially if you have creative customers, is right on brand. And D, you are mostly the advocate. Those questions were really about, making a better world. So you are the change maker. And your brand is rooted in values and the impact, whether that's socially, whether that's about women in the industry, whether that's about, making sure that there's equity in everything in your business. You stand for something, even if it's that I told my customer they were going to get this job at 3 o'clock and they're going to get this job at 3 o'clock. You're advocating for your customers there. And you use your platform when you can to drive meaningful conversations and to inspire others. To manifest career success, you want to be clear. And when you're clear and people know who you are and what you do and what they can count on you for, the opportunity will come to you. And the more that you are consistent in who you are, the more people can trust that about you. And sometimes, unfortunately, it does manifest as that invisible work. Give it to Deborah. We know it'll get done. Well, great. Well, what about the other 20 things I have? So it goes back to I'm a team player. So that means that here are the 10 things I need to do today. If this takes the most priority, then I need a team member to step up and help me with these things that have a lower priority. So it all fits together. Just because you want to be an advocate for your customers or anything like that, it doesn't mean that you aren't also, it's not a reflection of who you are. Because if on one hand, if you want to be known as a trustworthy person, and that's what you tell the clients. And then when you hang up the phone, you look at the press guy and you're like, don't worry about it. I'll just call them back in 10 minutes and say, we're not doing it. Well, what is that person supposed to think about you? So it all matters. Um, you know, your personal brand sets you apart. It's your edge. It's the when people see you speaking at events or there's an article about you, and this all leads to that possibly happening because you're putting yourself out there and you're becoming somebody that stands for something, whatever it is. And that doesn't need to be in a social way. Like I said, you could stand for quality of print. You could stand for, um, you know, they're introducing more substrates to your client. Whatever it might be, you want to make sure that you're standing apart from everybody else. If everybody is calling people and saying we have the best price, the best quality, and the best service, that is the last thing you want to talk about. You want to talk about something completely different. And of course, it gives you leverage. Uh, there are plenty of people now, especially in media companies, who are only hiring people with large Instagram followings or large social media followings. I'm not suggesting it's that way in the printing industry or the paper industry, but if your job is to get the message out, then you need to show that you are somebody who can gather people and keep them engaged. So if that's what you're known for, if you're known as the connector, then this is so they should come seeking you when they have this assignment, when they're thinking of someone to speak at their event. I'll give you a crazy example. I just did a series of webinars on AI. I did not present them, I hosted them. 5 companies have called me to present on AI. And I'm like, that's amazing to me that all of a sudden I'm the AI person. So I actually directed them to the person who did the presentation. And now we're both going to do a presentation at this event. So you want to people can come to you for the wrong thing too. So that goes back to the trust, the authenticity, not saying you can do things when you really can't and trying to work it out later. It all is a reflection of you. And most importantly, a personal brand is not optional. Your personal brand is one of the few things in your career that you fully own. And it is not about visibility, it's about alignment that everything you're doing and saying and your job performance is all related to it. So that when you show up, it's the same person they already know. And I hear that all the time. You're exactly the same as I pictured you from reading your posts or listening to your podcast. And yes, because I think what I've learned is I can't change myself no matter how hard I have tried. So it's goes back to that acquired taste thing. So, whether you're a connector, a subject matter expert, a bold thinker, or a mission driven advocate, the key is to show up consistently and unapologetically. And I love that word. So, this is your call to action from this presentation. Take control of the narrative. Ask a few people how they would describe you in one word. And if it matches what you want to be known for, embrace that word. And if it doesn't, you have some work to do to get them to think of you the way that you want them to think of you. Because once you start showing up that way in every room and every post and every opportunity, your next move could be the one that puts you on someone's radar and that opens a door that you did not even know that was there. So it's yours. It's the career capital that you carry with you wherever you go, whatever you do in your across your career. So if you haven't joined Girls Who Print yet, please scan the QR code and get involved. If your company is in a position to provide some support, please get in touch. We just, we're a nonprofit, so we are looking for some funding to start our programs. And I just want to thank you all for attending today. I'm going to turn off the recording, but we are going to stay for Q&A. So thank you, everybody, so much for attending today. Empower long and prosper.